Hi fans, welcome to the 2012 Lake Erie College Storm Football Preview Show. Jason Tirotta along with Coach Mark McNellie. And Coach, an exciting season approaching, just a couple of weeks away before kickoff, August 30th at Gannon University. Well, let's talk about the Storm prospects for 2012. For the first time, you went through an off-season where you graduated a 20-plus member senior class. A lot of those core guys who were here from day one not around now as the offseason rolled around. What was it like building your team without a lot of familiar faces?
Well, it definitely was different. I mean, those guys had been fixtures. They had been here from the get-go, so we had to adjust a little bit. But I think it was good. I think we got a group of hungry guys behind them that've been waiting their line and waiting their turn in line, and are excited to jump in and fill that void.
Now, when we talk about some of the returners specifically, I think in years past, a lot of the emphasis and a lot of the attention placed on the offense, but this year on the defensive side of the ball, maybe more returners defensively than offensively, a different feel for the team heading into the season.
Yeah, I mean it's a good balance. I think there's probably a few more guys on the defensive side of the ball, and we've made some changes on defense, and we're certainly looking for some improvements. But we're confident with the depth chart on both sides of the ball, but I think the guys defensively are excited for the challenge and hopefully are ready to step up.
Let's look at some of those key guys. There are a lot of guys back along that defensive line. A lot of guys, because of injuries in the past, who have played quite a bit of football over the past couple of seasons. And how is that going to affect a lot of the ability to shuffle guys in and out, keep everybody fresh along that defensive front?
Well, I think that's probably the key to what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a lot of guys involved. We're trying to do a better job of playing enthusiastic and running to the football. With Zane Houston and Taylor Lepla and Marty Newman and some of the guys coming back that have played a lot of downs of football for us, and then you mix in some other guys in the younger group, and we think we'll be able to run a lot of quality defensive alignment people and hopefully win that battle up front sometimes.
And a very talented, speedy, and athletic group of linebackers.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about the group of linebackers we have. Spring ball they played, I thought, extremely well. Tanner Wells, Kyle Hirth, Marcus Rogers, Austin Hoflich, and then we were just fortunate enough the other day to sign a transfer linebacker from the University of Michigan, Isaiah Bell. So I think at the linebacker spot we've got some guys coming back that can really play.
And in the secondary, veterans returning. It's an area that we've been a little bit thin in the past, but I think a lot of guys that now can shuffle between that corner and safety spot.
Well, pretty much the whole group comes back, and the secret back there is staying healthy. Last year, probably our best safety going into the season was Nick Kranz. Got hurt week 1 and week 2 and never got back the rest of the year. Dylan Lehman spent the year on a bum ankle. Those two guys come back healthy at the safety spot. That makes us better right now. And then, corner, all the guys that played and contributed last year are all back. So all of a sudden the secondary goes hopefully from a place where we needed some help to a place where we got some guys coming back. And recruiting, we also spent an awful lot of time upgrading the secondary. So we hope that we're much better in the back row.
The unit that we said was kind of the Storm's bread and butter the past couple of years. The offense, taking it position by position, starting up front, the offensive line. No Mike Hounshill, no Mike Gritz, no Barrett Fredrickson. It'll have a different look this season.
It'll have a different look, but there's still some good football players coming back there. We're at the point now where hopefully there's not a big drop-off when one guy leaves and the next guy steps in. Mike McGilligot was kind of the unsung hero of that group last year. I think he can be every bit as good as those guys walking out the door. There's a number of guys that have played awful hard and worked awful hard to try to get their spot in that starting 5. There's going to be one heck of a competition trying to figure out who those guys end up being. We've got a lot of good young players, and it's going to be up to Coach Boyes to get the chemistry right and find 5 guys that work well together. But we think the bodies are there, the people are there. It's just a matter of getting the right guys out on the field at the same time.
Talked about Mike McGilligot, the team's only returning all-conference player from a year ago. The other 4 all-conference selections graduated. What's the advantage of having him back? What kind of a leader is he like, having been a player who was one of the top performers in the league in his position last year?
I think Mike went kind of unnoticed last year because we did have the seniors. But if you go back and watch the film, there was times where Mike was just downright dominating. Mike's a little bit of a road grader. He's got a little bit of a mean streak. He is that leader that doesn't have to say a whole lot and goes out and does it by deed. Plays through some tough injuries. Just the kind of guy that you want to be anchoring in your offensive line. He has at one time or another started at all 5 positions on our offensive line, so he gives us the ability to move guys around, to get that best core unit out there. So we're obviously very, very happy to have him coming back and excited about the possibilities for what he can do this year.
At the skill positions, a group that personally I'm very excited to see these guys on the field. Very athletic, a very young group, but they've got some experience between the group out there. Obviously, Brandon James and Dave Romeo were two huge parts of the offense, and they've moved on with graduation. But it seems like a case at those spots of reloading, not necessarily rebuilding.
Well, I hope it's reloading. I think we got some guys that we have very, very high hopes for, guys that, again, have waited their turn. Guys in the spring that we waited to see what was going to happen, and then it looked like, same offense, just different numbers out there running around getting it done. So, we've got Tommy Jackson coming back at the wideout spot, who played a lot last year. Unfortunately, we lost Mikey Thomas, hurt his knee a couple of weeks back in a workout, and is probably going to be lost for the year. But some young guys stepped forward. Aaron Lindgren, had a big year last year until he got hurt. There's just a number of guys. I hate to rule anybody out, but there's a number of guys there that can step forward and do the job. And tight end wise, they're somewhat skilled guys, somewhat offensive line guys. We've got 3, 4, 5 guys, quality tight ends, we feel, that really can give us a different look as far as the personnel groupings that we're able to put on the field.
Coach, the one guy that we seem to talk about year in, year out the past couple of years was number 13, Sean Bedabowski. Obviously, a fantastic career. And I think that will be the first question that a lot of people on the outside are going to ask is, how do you replace Sean Bedabowski? But I think, you've got 2 quarterbacks on the roster who have starting experience here at Lake Erie. I think that's a nice bonus. And you brought in some pretty talented players to compete for the starting quarterback position. So how excited are you about the race and the competition heading into fall practice?
First off, you don't replace Sean Bedabowski. He's the all-time leading passer, rusher, scorer in the school's history. But we have some guys that we think bring some different things to the table. Some guys, again, that have worked very hard and have, I think, stepped in and done a really nice job. Brendan Gallagher, coming out of the spring, would probably be the number 1 on paper right now. Very explosive runner, better than average thrower, probably not quite the arm strength that Sean had, but knows where to go, probably knows the offense better than any quarterback we have had since we've been here. Without going too far, Matt Crumpak's been here for 5 years. Matt's been waiting his turn behind Sean for a long time. Has a little bit of game action on his side. We're looking for him to step forward and take it. And then we had a very fortunate opportunity this summer come along. We were able to get Patrick Nicely, who was a starting quarterback for 2 years down at the University of Akron, a local guy, transferring back home. Big arm, big thrower. How well will he fit into the system? That's what we're going to have to find out. But have that group of guys plus some other young guys waiting in the wings who we are very excited about. There's going to be one heck of a competition at quarterback. It'll be fun to sit back and watch.
How do you think, was it strictly Sean's success in playing in this offense and seeing the kind of numbers that he produced? Was that the reason to be able to draw, or the key in drawing a number of quality young quarterbacks? They see what he was able to do and they say, hey, I want to be a part of that?
I would hope. It's definitely a quarterback-centered offense, and everybody will say their offense is quarterback-centered, but our quarterback is put in a position to make a lot of calls, to obviously make a lot of reads, and put himself in a position to have a lot of success. So I think it's very quarterback-friendly. Obviously, Sean's performances and numbers certainly haven't hurt us any. But we are very, very excited about this group of guys and really look forward to the competition.
The third part of things, the special teams, an area that the program, I believe, has steadily progressed year in and year out to build a little bit better consistency in all facets. Last year, a little bit more explosion than in past years in the return game, and a solid foundation in the kicking and punting game, and a roster seemingly full of incoming kickers this year. So building some quality depth and talent in the special teams.
Well, I've said that from day one, that the kicking game is definitely 1/3 of the program. Offense, defense, and kicking game all being equal parts. And we did get better last year. We did make some strides forward. The bottom line is we have better athletes running down, covering kicks, blocking for punts, doing all the unseen, unheard of jobs that no one really pays attention to who's doing them. But we've got better players taking up those roles. As far as the kicker, the punter, and the snapper, Sammy's back. Sammy Marcotte's back to do the kicking and the field goals and extra points. But there's going to be all of a sudden competition. Like you said, there's 3, 4, 5 other cut kickers coming to camp. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to see how that rolls. I think schematically we found a place where we're happy with what we're doing in the kicking game. We like to be aggressive. We like to take some chances. We want to out-prepare the other teams, and we think we've done that and look forward with better athletes on board, being able to step that up even a little bit further this year.
One thing we seem to talk in here and out too is the ability to block kicks. Every so often, teams sometimes go years and years and years without blocking kicks. That's something we've been able to do very well in just a short period of time.
Again, it goes back to an aggressive mindset. We're trying to get back to being aggressive on all three sides of the ball. I think we've held pretty true to that with our offense from day one. Defensively, we waned away from that a little bit, and as the head coach, I'll take responsibility. We're going to go back to being the more aggressive team on the field every Saturday. And special teams wise, if you liked what we've done in the past, we're going to continue down that same vein and maybe even try to crank it up a little bit more, because I really feel like our core athletes are just that much better.
All right, things get underway just like they have the previous 4 seasons on a Thursday night against non-conference opponent Gannon University. The battle for the Captain's Wheel Trophy, the Battle of Lake Erie. How important was it for you, from your perspective, to have that continuity of this rivalry continuing, and how exciting is it of a first game to have these two schools matched up against each other?
Well, it's always a fun game for me, because I'm great friends now with the new head coach at Gannon, Brad Ryzicki. I recruited him out of high school and coached with him for a long time, and we've known each other forever. And so that part was exciting. And I lived in Erie for such a long time that there's obviously some rivalry there. And our president of our university is also from Erie, so there's a lot of things that tie it together. But bottom line on the football field is we've had 4 just great football games. We've had 4 games that have been very, very competitive, very emotional, that have all come down to the wire. If you're a fan of football, that Gannon University game is going to be a great game, because every year it is a barn burner, and it'll be another emotional, high energy game this year. I think both teams need to get out of the box early, knowing how their schedules fall after the first game. It is a vital game for us, and I know with Brad being a first-time head coach, he'll have those guys fired up and ready to go after us. So it's gonna be a great night for football.
Obviously, week number 1, the goal is to maintain the Captain's Wheel Trophy. But after that, starting week 2 on September 8th, that's when the mission goes into another gear for a bigger trophy, a GLIAC championship trophy, and a schedule this year very balanced, very favorable. I think in terms of not a lot of long, lengthy road trips like we have in the past. It's more conducive now with the South teams, playing one another more frequently with the expansion, with the additions of Gannon and Malone. How do you see the schedule shaping up overall for the Storm?
Well, the schedule, I do like the schedule better. I do like the travel being cut back some. I do think it is a fairer schedule for us, but that beginning portion, if you just cut it out alone, it's not that much easier. We're starting out with Ferris State, who comes in with one of the most talented teams in the conference, new head coach, new systems. Again, they're going to be all fired up and excited. Their first game in the GLIAC is going to be against us. We go on the road to play Wayne State, who played for the national championship last year. And then we get Saginaw back here again coming off a playoff run with an awful lot of football players back. And then we get into the South schedule, and you think, boy, this is going to get easier. And you kick off with a game against Ashland University, who we were fortunate enough to beat last year, going up there for a night game. They're going to be breathing smoke and fire. And then the new down the street rival with Notre Dame College. So that first stretch is going to be vitally important, and it's not going to be easy. We are geared up. We are looking forward to it. We have very, very high hopes, but someone said it got easier. I don't know that it got easier. It got different, but I don't know that it got easier. So we're excited about it. We know that we got to come out of the box ready to go.
That Ferris State game Saturday night, September the 8th at Jack Oak Memorial Stadium in Painesville. The kickoff against 7 o'clock. Join us ahead of time for the game, the Storm Club tailgate party, which begins at 3 o'clock on September the 8th. Coach, looking at the rest of the schedule there, you mentioned up to Notre Dame, that's October 6th. And then another new face, Malone on the 13th. Finley was a game that was hotly contested and a little questionable at the end. We'll just leave it at that. But then Walsh, Ohio Dominican, another game that was very competitive last year, and then ending the season on the road at Tiffin. How do you see the back end of that schedule shaping up?
I don't know a lot about the new teams. I don't know Notre Dame College. I don't know Walsh. I don't know Malone. I know that they play good football. I know that they've had good records in the past. I don't know a whole lot about them. The other games in our conference, the Tiffins, the Finleys, the Ohio Dominicans that have been great matchups. Those games have been games that have been one-score games that have been the last second here. Findlay, for example, 2 years ago was a last-second victory by us. They came back and dipped us on that call last year at the end of the game. So it's great football. GLIAC football, if you don't gear yourself up week after week after week, you're going to have a hard time. And we now know that, we now understand that, and I think we get to the second half of the schedule. We're excited about what can happen. We think we can get on a roll and do some damage and hopefully have a little bit of fun.
All right, Coach McNellie, best of luck this season.
Appreciate
Thanks for joining us. And as far as you, we'll see you on August the 30th in Erie, PA, when the Storm travels to Gannon University, and then right here September 8th here at Painesville at Jack Bird Memorial Stadium. Until then, for Coach Mark McNellie, I'm Jason Tirotta. We hope you've enjoyed the 2012 Lake Erie College football preview. Until next time, rage on.